Hola a todos, yo soy Samuel, y para los que no me conocen, estoy aprendiendo español, and today we're going to be looking at two of the most famous linguists on the internet and analyzing their Spanish ability. Let's go! Alright guys, so today we've got two of the biggest language YouTubers on the internet. We're going to be taking a look at Xiaomanyc NYC and Laoshu505000. They're both extremely talented in the language space. They both specialize in the Far East languages. They're both extremely proficient in Chinese and varying dialects of Chinese. Neither of them claim to speak incredible Spanish, but they have made it clear that they have the ability to speak. So we're going to dive right in. We're going to take a look at a couple clips of each of them speaking Spanish. We're going to be looking for four major things here. We're going to be grading vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, and comprehension. Be sure to stick around to the end of the video to see who, at least in my opinion, speaks better Spanish. All right, so we're going to start with Xiaomanyc. Only recently did he decide to break out of his comfort zone, which is the Chinese language family, and venture full-time into Spanish during the quarantine. He was learning for 8+ hours a day, and this is one of his first experiences out and about, just hanging out and talking. So this is a quick video of him getting some street tacos and conversing. Let's see what he's got.
What's that?
That was taquito de pastor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
just no sé, no sé.
He's the best at this.
Primera vez que pruebo tacos, entonces.
Oh.
Yeah.
Esos taquitos de pastor trae tortilla chiquita.
Okay. Chiquita, sí, es bueno.
¿Quiero dar una?
Yeah. Son ricos?
Oh, son ricos. Okay, that's pretty impressive. A lot of beginner Spanish learners, when they want to ask if something is good or express that a food is tasty, they typically use delicioso or deliciosa, but that is rarely heard with Spanish speakers, with native Spanish speakers. They use the word rico, rica, literally means rich, like in flavor. So that's, I'm impressed there.
Wow.
Apenas acaba de hacer.
Tacos son de Mexico, no?
Sí.
Okay.
So his accent, tacos son de Mexico, no? I mean, he's obviously got an American accent. I've been at it for 5+ years, and I've got a strong accent, so that's not a surprise there. But there are some of his vowel sounds make him sound even more foreign. But he's easily understood.
Well done.
Bueno, sí hace, pero tradicional es de México.
En el lugar en que yo vivo, nunca he probado, entonces.
¿Dónde vives?
El barrio chino en Nueva York.
He's following the conversation very well.
¿En el barrio chino? No, pero para mí es bueno porque me gusta mucho comer comida china y yo hablo chino también, entonces.
¿Hablas chino también?
Sí.
Hablas inglés, hablas chino y hablas español.
No, solo un poco.
Solo un poco, he says. It's a little bit more than a little bit.
Pero pues bueno, ¿usted eres americano o...?
Sí, ¿y tú?
No sé, de
México. Este barrio es un poco ruidoso.
Ruidoso. Wow. Okay, another word that somebody who just started speaking Spanish probably wouldn't know how to express. I'm impressed.
¿Y tú andas paseando?
¿Espaciando?
Andas paseando.
¿Qué es espaciando?
Paseando.
No hablo mucho en español.
See, so the big takeaway there is he didn't understand what the guy was asking, but he knew it was a question, and he just couldn't figure out the verb. What do you mean? What am I doing? But he was able to follow the question. You know, are you out blanking today? Is essentially what he heard, and most people, they kind of shut off and then they just scrap the whole sentence mentally.
Estoy comiendo mucho en este día. Yeah. Quiero probar comida latina.
¿Qué te gusta más? ¿Comida mexicana?
Me gusta comida, pero la verdad es que no he probado mucho, entonces no sé cuál es comida mexicana, comida colombiana, entonces quiero probar un poco más. ¿Y tú, cuál es tu favorita?
Para mí la mexicana.
Sí.
¿De este país?
En comida mexicana, ¿cuál es tu favorita? ¿Tacos o Otro.
A mí me gusta todo. Tenemos quesadillas, vendemos quesadillas también. Tortas, me gusta quesadillas, tortillas de chamán, apenas. A comer aquí para llevar.
Para llevar.
Como cebolla, cilantro, guacamole.
Cebolla, guacamole, sí.
¿Quieres picante?
Sí.
¿Cuál te gusta, roja o verde?
Verde, verde.
¿Ya me dices mucho o poquito?
¿Qué?
Ahí,
Mucho,
¿vale?
me gusta picante.
¿Te gusta picante?
Sí,
Oh, bueno.
okay. Gracias.
So, I mean, again, his accent is I mean, he just started learning Spanish, so we expect that he's going to need to work on that a little bit. But para aquí, para llevar, to ask whether he wants to eat it here or to go, and he didn't even really, Xiaomanyc didn't even really think about it. He just kind of already knew, oh, this is to go, thank you. So to his scorecard, I'm going to give on vocabulary. He knows more than I thought he would. Obviously, there's still a ton to learn, but claiming to not speak much Spanish and then throw out words like "son ricos," no? I'm gonna give him a 3.5 out of 5. So his pronunciation is good. Outside of his accent, he's able to roll his R's, and he's shown a good command of speaking at a normal speed. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna give him a 3 out of 5. As far as grammar goes, he said everything pretty much in the order that it should be said. Even when he started talking about, I have never tried this type of food, speaking in the past tense, there were a couple verbs that would have been misconjugated, but he still earns himself a 4 to 5. And comprehension, this is the biggest one. I understand he's a language expert, and this is kind of like what he does, is goes out and shocks people in their native language. So I'm sure he can kind of anticipate what questions are coming, but he fires right back. Most of the time when you first start speaking a new language learners are so worried about what they're saying that they forget to listen to what the other person is saying. Xiaomanyc has no issues here. This gentleman's asking him questions, and he's just firing answers right back. So for that, he gets a 5 out of 5. All right, now we're going to move on to Laoshu. This one was a little bit trickier to find a clip. I've seen little snippets of him speaking Spanish. This was off of his most recent. He just hit 1 million subscribers, and he had like a 20-language conversation. So to be fair, going into this conversation, he was just speaking Japanese, and immediately following this conversation, he is speaking Korean. So his mind, I don't know, that sounds really hard. I have a hard enough time speaking English, and that's my native language, and so he's cutting in and out of all these different languages, but nonetheless, we're gonna take a look at what he can do in Spanish.
Okay, hoy vamos a hablar, ¿de qué vamos a hablar? Yo no sé.
¿Qué te parece si hablamos de las diferencias del español europeo y del español latinoamericano?
Es una buena idea. Es una buena idea.
Ajá.
Okay, so again, this is kind of, I think this was to be expected. He's going from one language to the next, so he's kind of, I can tell he's frazzled a little bit. Yeah, his accent, it's still very American. He seemed a little scatterbrained at the beginning, but as soon as Isidro here prompts a conversation, Laoshu is right on it, and boom, that's a great idea. Let's dive in.
Manos a la obra.
Perfecto, manos a la obra.
Manos a la obra.
Manos a la obra. That's a pretty native phrase for like, let's do it, kind of.
Tú cuando comenzaste a aprender español, ¿comenzaste a aprender español de España?
No recuerdo cuándo comencé a aprenderlo, pero cuando comencé a aprender español era el español de España, porque durante ese tiempo no sabía que hay diferencias. Hay el español de España, el español de Latinoamérica, no lo sabía.
Okay, so he immediately, he understood the question as though it were in English, and he fumbles over some words, but he's speaking in the past tense more or less correctly. There were a couple conjugations there that he might have missed, or a couple connectors that he omitted, but he knows what he's saying, and anybody who speaks Spanish can understand him.
Que comencé a aprender el español de España. Después, cuando comencé a hacer los videos en YouTube, donde puedo practicar mi español. Mucha gente muchas personas dije, oh, es muy interesante que estás aprendiendo el español de España. Durante ese tiempo no, ¿qué? ¿Qué quieres decir?
So he's got great flow. I mean, you can tell, and I mean, I can tell that he's a little bit rusty. He mentioned that when he was learning Spanish when he started, he just started learning Spanish out of Spain. He didn't know that there was such a big difference between Latin American Spanish and Castilian Spanish, and people were shocked that he was learning Castilian Spanish. But the fact he's able to just kind of riddle that off, again, it's a bit cut here and there, and he's fumbling over some words and stuttering over himself. But again, give the guy some slack. He's speaking 20 languages.
Aquí en América, la manera de hablar español es muy diferente. Por ejemplo, no usan la lengua para pronunciar sí como th.
Es la pronunciación de la C y la Z en español, ¿no?
Sí.
I mean, he's advanced enough in Spanish that he's using Spanish to talk about the intricacies between the Castilian accent and the Latin American accent and how they pronounce certain letters. Okay, so that was the end of that clip. So with Laoshu, as far as vocabulary goes, his vocabulary is strong. Obviously, he has to recall it a bit, but for his level and what he can understand and the words that he just kind of throws out there and phrases, I'm going to give him a 4 out of 5. And then pronunciation, and of course, this might not be the fairest example to grade him on because, again, he's speaking 20 languages in within 2 hours, I think. He doesn't give a whole bunch of effort toward the accent. With him fumbling through the conversation a bit, I'm going to give him a 2.5 out of 5. And as far as grammar's good. I mean, he's speaking in a logical order that makes sense to the language. He even, when he was talking about when he started learning Spanish, he did not know that there is 2 different dialects of spoken Spanish. It's really good. There are a few hiccups here and there, but he's going to earn himself a 4 out of 5. And then for comprehension, again, maybe it's because he's had so many of these conversations in different languages, so he can anticipate a little bit what's coming, but he just has no issue whatsoever understanding what is being asked, understanding the responses, and adding a rebuttal to those responses. So for comprehension, he's going to earn himself a 5 out of 5. All right, if we pull up both of their scorecards here, you can see Xiaomanyc is awarded a 15.5 out of 20, and Laoshu also earned himself a 15.5 out of 20. And I promise, although I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes, this was not premeditated. I stitched these 2 videos together and watched them at the same time you guys did. I just kind of blurted out my answer. So, after weighing multiple factors, in my opinion at least, I would venture to say that they both have a very similar level of Spanish, but I'd love to know your opinion. Let me know in the comments below who has a better command of the Spanish language and why, and we'll see you next time.